I just want to explain the case of Chidimam as I understand it. The Chidimam's mother stole somebody else's identity and gave it to Chidimam at birth of Chidimam. And evidence suggests that from birth up until Chidimam was caught out, Chidimam was used this identity of this child from the East End. Now, when this child, the child whose identity was stolen or is stolen, came out of age and started to become active in the economy, started to, or rather matriculated. It is then that she realized that she is sharing identity with somebody else. So they opened a case of identity theft at the police, and the case was opened, and it was a subject of investigation. But because of the police being lackluster, and because of the issues or the issue of identity theft not being taken serious by the authorities, that docket lay at the police collecting dust up until Chidimam was by coincidence caught out. When Chidimam was arrested, there was no systematic investigation.
Chidimam was arrested?
When she was caught out. When Chidimam was caught out to have stolen somebody else's identity, there was no systematic investigation against her. It was just something coincidental. People in social media, pestered Home Affairs to probe into the identity of Chidimam. Because Chidimam raised some alarming things, that she was born in Soweto, yet she cannot speak Tswana or Sotho, that she could not even trace, she could not say a lot of things which a natural born South African would point out. So that raised alarm, and the Home Affairs started to investigate. They employed an investigation which should have been done in 2017. Like I said, this government is not serious with issues of immigration and stuff. If they investigated in 2017, it was going to be easy to catch out Chidimam. So now, what happened is what we know. The Home Affairs employed the Hawks to investigate, and through biometrics, it was discovered that Chidimam has stolen identity, and a warrant, I suspect, has been issued for the arrest of her mother or herself, and which makes Chidimam now a fugitive. So should she come and land in South Africa, she will be arrested together with her mother for identity theft, for fraud, and stuff like that. The thing is, commanders, obvious things do not happen against illegal immigrants, against foreigners. This ANC government, together with the DA, they are not upfront with enforcing immigration laws. That is why, and common sense and the law would have told you that once they discovered that there was something fishy with Chidimam's identity, they were going to restrict her. They were going to restrict her movement up until such time that a warrant of arrest is issued. But now, we've got a government which does not have a political will to deal with foreigners, to deal with illegal immigrants decisively in accordance with the law and common sense. Chidimam was made to leave this country. There was supposed to be a civil arrest against Chidimam. Chidimam's bank accounts were supposed to be frozen because of that finding that she has stolen somebody else's identity. Chidimam's qualifications at university should have been frozen. Her registration at University of Pretoria and Cape Town was supposed to be cancelled, pending her arrest and prosecution. So these obvious things do not happen and did not happen because of what I've mentioned. And I just want to add one more thing, commanders, which is very outrageous, or you may find it outrageous. According to me, there's no Nigerian who is in South Africa legally. I can tell you why. When you are a foreign national coming into South Africa, the law says that you must deposit 5 sets of fingerprints, 2 of which must go to Interpol so that they check if you're not on the red list. That requirement is dispensed with illegally by the South African government. They are not required to do that. When Nigerians come into South Africa, they come under all of them, they come under the guise of students. They get unlawful student visas. They get admission letters from tertiary institutions. They don't study. They get into the country, open hair salons, work, whereas a study visa is not a work permit. Now, in the meantime, while they are on study visa, they get involved with our unfortunate sisters. They marry them and they become citizens in a bogus fashion. Now, the law says that if you arrive in South Africa illegally, you cannot later become legal. So that's why my standpoint is that there is no, and the fact that the ANC allows people to come here illegally, it does not make it legal. The fact that the government is allowing Nigerians not to deposit 5 sets of their fingerprints, it does not make their presence in the country legal, because the government as authority also has to abide by its own laws. When the government is allowing Nigerians to come here illegally, the government is becoming complicit to the fraud and to the identity theft by Nigerians. There is no single Nigerian who is here. We can go to the movement system at Home Affairs and look at their documents with a magnifying glass. I can tell you all of them are impeachable. All of them, they will not escape legal scrutiny. There was a minister called Melusi Gigaba, and he was caught out. In 2000, in the years in which he was a minister, he signed off about 300,000 study visas of Nigerians. And him, together with the University of Johannesburg and the University of Fort Hare, granted those Nigerians study visas under dubious and illegal circumstances. They granted them the study visas, granted them admission letters at those universities. They never became students. They entered the economy, and worse, while they were in the country in such an illegal fashion, he granted them critical skill visas, which enabled them to later get a permanent residency. Now, what I'm saying is inside the report by Lubisi, which was articulated before Parliamentary Portfolio Committee on Home Affairs. It is there. It was a discovery through investigation. So you can go to the government gazettes. There is a talk about what I'm saying now. So we cannot, as South Africans, accept the notion that there is legal foreigners in the country, there is legal Nigerians in the country, when theft of identity is so rampant, when there is supermarkets opened to sell our identity. The same Lubisi report investigated the National Population Register in 2022, and they discovered that there is 2 million forged IDs on the National Population Register, meaning that there is 2 million foreigners who stole our identity. Now, upon that discovery, all the 2 million forged IDs were blocked. After they were blocked, and when they were blocked, the investigation was not even a quarter through. It was not even halfway. Now, you ask yourself, if the whole National Population Register was investigated, they were going to come out with 8 million people who have stolen our identity. Because when you count 2 and you are a quarter, so it will become 8 million when you are full into the investigations. So we are under siege. We cannot accept that there is legal foreigners in the country. And worse still, this government, when Chidimam was found out to have stolen an identity, this government did not go to the voters' roll and check if Chidimam's ID participated in elections, because that was going to tell you how that there is we have got a bogus election result. Because the National Population Register is a feeder to the voters' roll. Whoever is in the National Population Register will vote.
Petals, I don't know why with this Chidimam situation that it's very funny that they only think that identity theft is the only problem that Chidimam is the only case that Chidimam is facing. Which is why it's taking so long. I think if we were all people that could literally think, we'd know that there's definitely something bigger that's happening besides just it being just this one case of identity theft. And again, I don't even think that South Africans are not even, we are not even a tad bit obsessed with Nigeria. We have never been obsessed. It's the very same thing. We didn't know. Well, I'll speak for myself. I didn't know anything about Nigeria. The only thing I knew about Nigeria was the president. I didn't even know about the laws that you guys have, about you guys not owning any title deeds and owning CPOs, certificates of occupancy. CPO, sorry. I didn't know any of those. I didn't even know about your voter turnout rate, that 80% fetched their voters card, but only 20% went to vote. We knew nothing about that. We didn't care about you guys until you guys decided to insert yourself into our situations. So you guys decided to want to steal Amapiano when you know that it was from South Africans. So it's very funny that you guys think that we are obsessed with you when your infrastructure is not even close to be what South Africa's infrastructure is, please. So when you're thinking about this whole situation and you're thinking about South Africans, you guys must just learn from us. You must just learn from our country and how it's governed. It might not be the best, but our economy is proving otherwise compared to Nigeria's economy. That's all I had to say, Petals.
Thank you, Lulu. I'm not sure Ishma Bosso, because Astrid said she wanted to ask the question. Astrid. Okay, she left. You can speak, Maposo.
Okay, just to kickstart, I don't know where Curated got the information that the case of Chidimam was passed by Home Affairs to the judges or prosecutors. Personally, I did not study law, so I'm not going to even claim to know that. Perhaps you could be right if it's the field of your expertise and you are behind doing research on this particular case. But personally, I've looked many times to see where the case of Chidimam is in South Africa. I haven't heard of the case being passed to the judges. Perhaps I could be wrong. That is open to be debated, corrected. So the last time I checked, the case of Chidimam was an ongoing affairs investigation by Home Affairs, and there was a prima facie indications of fraud committed by Chidimam Adetshina's mother, according to what we got from Home Affairs. That's the last update I know of. Perhaps others know something beyond that. When it comes to who is obsessed with who, I think you're Curated, you're trying to play smart there. I do agree that you were right about one thing. When you got in here, we were talking about your country, to be fair. But South Africans have started to do this recently because we are more like retaliating. Nigerians have been not only talking about our country while not in South Africa, but even the ones who are here talk about us and even call us name. And if you know, by the way, we've got many Nigerians in South Africa as opposed to the opposite. So that alone answers who's obsessed with you and who's not obsessed with you. You barely see South Africans come into Nigeria, but the opposite cannot be said. We've got so many of your people to a point where we've got a huge number of them even serving sentences in our presence for committing crimes in our country. That's the kind of level of obsession they have with our country. And we also see that if you check on Google, you check African countries, there has been a stats that came out by Google, Google search engine. I don't know if recently there's been update, but these stats have been seeing it going on for maybe perhaps 4 years now, where they show African countries and who they Google most amongst each other. In Nigeria and many countries in Africa, Nigeria itself, the Nigerian people tend to Google South Africa more than any African country. So South Africa came on top as to which African countries do Nigerians Google the most. And South Africa overall, it was the leading country in Africa, Googled the most by other African countries.
Yeah. Oh, you're back, my boss. You can continue. I think you received a call or something.
Yeah. Sorry, I don't know what happened. I don't know what happened. I will lie. My screen just disappeared. That's awkward. Yeah, but I was just saying when that Google search engine came back with the results, South Africa was the top most Googled country in Nigeria, which speaks volume to the level of obsession they have for us. In South Africa, the most Googled country was Zimbabwe. And let me tell you the truth, there's millions and millions of Zimbabweans in South Africa. I can bet with my life, South Africans don't wake up and Google Zimbabwe. They barely know anything about that country. They just know that there's Mnangagwa who's a president and their people are fleeing to South Africa in their millions. Trust me not, it was Zimbabweans Googling themselves, Googling their country, what's happening back at home. So South Africans in general, they don't Google any African country. We basically focused on ourselves. The only reason we started to know about Nigerians was when Nigerians started to flock to South Africa in numbers. We never knew anything about you guys, and we still don't really know much about you guys. Most of the times when we talk about Nigerians,
the Hawks report, it was reported 23 years ago, hence it is classified as a cold case. So now, according to you, a case that has matured, how long does it take? Because this crime happened 23 years ago. Even if a person can report it last month, but if a crime happened 29 years ago, it is reported to be a cold case.
Okay, so if a crime happens, like take for example the Diddy case, that is now being reported over crimes that happened a long time ago. It's not a cold case. Now, when your Home Affairs announced in August,
You are contradicting yourself. Farmer's daughter, you can make your submission.
let me answer.
I'm not gonna let you finish because you keep contradicting yourself. Let her. I give you guys water in.
Let her speak. Let her speak.
Why must you go around in circles with curated?
Petals, Petals, let her
so we can know how they think. We need to know.
Petals, it's fine. Let her speak. You know what? I hang around many copper. I hang around many police officers. I hang around many lawyers. You can come with it. I'm ready.
All right, thanks. So if you guys are cutting me halfway, you can't say I'm contradicting myself when I haven't finished making my point. When your Home Affairs announced in August, they didn't say there is a pending case that we are reopening, because if that was the case, that's what they would have announced. This case was reported and opened in 1993 or in 2003, and we are now reopening it. That's not what they said. They said we're opening a new investigation against Chidimam, so it's new. But anyways, that is petty flogging. Like that is that we're it's semantics. It doesn't matter whether it's a cold case or not. The issue is the Home Affairs announced that we're going to investigate you. They've now said we finished our investigations and they have refused to respond to our requests. But we're done. They announced that they're done with the investigation. So if the investigation is over, then what's next? Why can't you just charge her now? Like, what more do you need? That's all I have to say.
Wait, Shambe. Okay, curated. We're gonna start. When did the crime happen?
The crime, I don't know when the ID was stolen, but Chidimam was stolen in 2001. So you can say 2001.
Right. So
The alleged crime.
fine, the alleged crime, even though an arrest or J50 was issued, fine. The alleged crime happened 2001. Okay, then that means it's what? It's 2024. That means that the case has matured. Do you understand? The woman, the victim, who I might not mention, I'm not supposed to mention her name because of the Poppy Act. She went to the Home Affairs and reported it. And after reporting, the case was never closed because they were investigating. They didn't report it to the police. You guys can correct me because I went through the report myself. I went through it with my friends who are police officers, and it is clear that it is under the category of a cold case because it was reported 23 years ago. So I don't get what you're saying.
Okay. Okay. So, like I said, the Diddy case is for.
Let me just put it like this: police involvement was there now recently, but then according to the Home Affairs, it was reported 23 years ago. They were doing their own investigation, but the police came in recently. But according to the police,
can I ask you a question?
Hold on. According to the police and the Hawks, it was 23 years ago.
Astrid, can I ask you a question?
Can I just add an information before curated you ask her? Because can you guys hear me? Can anyone hear me?
I can hear you. Go on.
All right. Just from the explanation of cold case, those who are in legal field, like curated, can always correct me. I'm not in the legal field. So a cold case is a crime or a suspected crime that has not yet been fully resolved and is not the subject of a current criminal investigation, but for which new information could emerge from new witness testimony, re-examined archives, new or retained material evidence, or fresh activist of a suspect. Now that's just the definition of a cold case. So what I see here also is that it's a case that goes for more than 3 years, a period of more than 3 years. Just a period of more than 3 years when that case becomes a cold case. You can still also correct me on that one. The information I get, which Astrid can also correct me here on this one, because she's talking about 23 years. The one that I see is that the mother of the girl whose identity Chidimam Adechina is accused of stealing reported the case on August 15, 2017. That's already more than 3 years ago. Now maybe Astrid has got even better information in terms of early as 2001, if I'm correct. That could also, she can correct me on that one, but the reported one that I see here is August 15, 2017, which already, if my definition that I see online of the cold case is a case that has been going on for more than 3 years, it's already a cold case, but I'm open to be corrected. This is just the information I got from quickly doing a research. Thanks, guys.
Okay, so I think we're arguing semantics here. And let me use a real legal case as an example. The Diddy case, for example, a lot of the things he's now being charged with are things that were even reported 30 years ago, literally in the 90s, that he's now being prosecuted for things that have happened a long time. So it's not a duration thing. The thing is, they hadn't opened an investigation formally against him until now. So the same way you can't describe the Diddy case as a cold case, it's the same way you can't describe the Chidimam case as a cold case, because this is the first time.
You know, there was no investigation that was being made, curated. How do you know there was no investigation being made?
They would have said it. Like the whole point is, they would have said it. They would have said, we were already investigating this 23 years ago, and we're now reopening. We're now reopening the case.
Let's keep it simple. Let's keep it simple. Let's go about it very simple. Okay. So a case is open, right? You don't have any leads, you don't have anything, you put it aside. What do you classify? And then they reopen the case. What do you classify that case?
Again, we're arguing semantics.
You are spot on. You are spot on.
Okay,
2 years after. Hold on, my boss. You're right. After 2 years, it is a cold case. Go on.
We're arguing semantics. And now, again, you said it, the key word is reopen. If this was a cold case, your Home Affairs would be announcing that we are reopening this case that was first opened in 2001. That is the key word here. We are reopening. But that's not what their announcement was. Their announcement was, we are launching an investigation against Chidimam.
Wait. If the case that was reported in 2017 on the 15 August was the case of the identity fraud, which came out today as Chidimam being the elder, the case is the identity number. That's the entire case. Whether today it's attached to Chidimam doesn't mean it's a new case. It's the same case, just with new evidence that came out now. That Chidimam is now attached to the same case. Her name is now just adding as a new evidence to the case that was opened in 2017. That's how cases work. This is not a separated case. It's a case of follow-up of the identity case that was opened in August 15, 2017. It's not a new case. It's the same case coming back with new evidence. And by the definition of a cold case, it's a case that is being opened but ongoing, depending on the available new evidence that comes across. After 3 years, it becomes a cold case. It's a continual case that takes longer than 3 years. It's the same.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for pointing that out, and thank you so much for the explanation. I think we can move from this topic. And Nigeria.
I didn't bring Chidimam up on this panel. It was brought up by Mzulu. So I don't know who's obsessed with who, because I don't know why you guys, you never come on a live and hear us talking about Zuma and Ramaphosa and your presidents, because we don't care. We have things, bigger fish to fry. So when I came here, you guys talking about Nigeria, and that's why I joined. Again, Chidimam was brought up by you guys. So please, no one cares. We're not obsessed. We honestly, before this, I barely knew anything about South Africans before all of these interactions. So please, the pageant is over. Let's go back to our lives. Surely you guys have lives outside of Chidimam and outside of Nigeria. That's all I have to say.
Yeah, host, it's my turn, because I've talked
I was supposed to speak, my boss.
In South Africa, that, you know, on the ground, you can even classify them in three. They are the ones who are actually, you know, the wealthy ones who are actually going across the globe, you know, the globetrotters. And they are professionals like the doctors and the engineers. And you have millions of the ones that are wanderers here. They are the ones who actually come here to try to make a living, right? And then they see that it's not what they think it is. Now they start engaging in those shenanigans that we see them doing on the streets. So someone who's going to tell you that, no, those people are not doing that. We see them every day on the streets. They're here doing those things. We don't have problems with the professional ones. Those ones, we don't even know if they're here or not, because you hardly, you know, go to a Nigerian doctor. But if you go to Sunny Side on the street, today it's Friday, you will tell me a different story. So maybe Curated can explain actually what is happening there by Tinubu State. We are really inquisitive about what is happening there. Thank you, host.
So we had to retaliate and find out, okay, if these people have got so much opinions about us and our country, What is actually going on where they come from, where they seem to be fleeing in large numbers coming to us when we're not even coming to Nigeria? So even by the number of migration itself, it's easy to see who's obsessed with who and who's not obsessed with who. There's many content on YouTube that are old, decades now, where Nigerians were making content discussing South Africa. You barely find South Africans creating content discussing Nigerians. If you find one, it's going to be something very recent. Thanks, host. I will close it there.